Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm running down my top 10 board game accessories. Every time I include one of these in my videos, I get someone in the comments asking me, ooh, what's that? Where did you get that? So I thought I'd just include all this stuff in one video and try to give you an idea of where I got my stuff if I can remember. Now before we get started, I do want to use this opportunity to share a hot take of mine. You will absolutely not see dice towers or dice trays on this list. I hate those things with a passion. They suck all the joy out of the dice. I do love to actually roll my dice and see them bouncing around, as you can tell from these videos. So, yes, spoiler alert, you're not going to see dice towers or dice trays on this list. But what you will see are extra dice, and that's my number 10. I have a big old collection of extra dice in every different type of color and shape, and I've got everything from D4s to D20s. But yeah, I like to have some extra dice around to put into games that have either very poor quality dice or just not enough. As you can see here for the game Block by Block, I added some nice bigger dice in the various colors for each faction. And that's a really nice upgrade. It's at number 10 because I'm not really a dice fanatic. I'm not going out and buying a bunch of these crazy Kickstarter dice and things like that. But having some extra dice is nice. And that kind of leads into my number 9 as well, which is just third-party upgraded components. We're talking wooden bits, we're talking metal coins, fancier meeples, right? Upgraded resources, things of that nature. And again, I'm not really someone who does a lot of that. I've done it for a few games, and one of those is Robinson Crusoe. I got some sort of upgrade kit specifically for Robinson Crusoe. Now, I can't remember exactly where I got that from. Again, it was like a decade ago. Doing a quick Google search shows that you can even get deluxe components from Portal Games themselves, and there's various kits on Etsy and eBay. So I know that I've also gotten a few upgraded components from Meeple Source. This is at the bottom of the list because, again, this isn't something that I actually spend a lot of money on, except for a very small number of games. But I do it occasionally, and that's why it's my number 9. Number 8 are sleeves. And once again, we're so low on the list here because I'm not really that big of a sleever, at least not anymore. Early on in the hobby, I was sleeving like crazy. So a lot of my older games are sleeved, and you can see that in my videos for Robinson Crusoe, for Ginkopolis, Through the Ages, etc. A lot of these games that I've had for a long time, or games that are particularly rare, or even just games where I'm concerned about the card quality, having to shuffle the cards a lot, I put those in sleeves, and I've pretty much exclusively used the Mayday Games premium line. The only other sleeves that I use are the Ultra Pro Eclipse, the matte version for like games like Doomtown or other collectible card games or living card games. I really like to use the Eclipse. But like I say, I rarely do that anymore. And honestly, there's probably a ton more sleeves out now than there were back then. And I really haven't kept up on all that. So I'm far from an expert. So anyway, that's number 8, sleeves. Number 7 is custom drawbags. Custom drawbags can make such a huge difference when it comes to setup and playing a game. A game like Castles of Burgundy or Nirishima Hex, just having all of these tokens in drawbags and just drawing out of them cuts down on setup and teardown time tremendously. It saves you at least 10 to 15 minutes. Because it's so fiddly taking each of those piles of tokens and shuffling them and then stacking them up. No, just toss them all in a bag and just draw from that. It makes so much sense. Now, luckily, games that need drawbags usually come with custom drawbags in the game, but that definitely didn't used to be a thing. And so you could actually get them made for pretty cheap. And there were 2 companies, if I remember correctly, it was Arts Cow and Cow Cow. These printers in China, and they would have these sales where you could basically get 10 bags printed for $20. So $2 a bag with free shipping. And there was even this geek list on Board Game Geek that just had all of these designs that people had made. And I used to do that all the time. Anytime one of these sales came up, I would buy some bags for every game that I had. Because they're also cool just for storing components, and especially player bag. You could just hand players the different bags. So they're a neat addition to any game. That's number 7, custom draw bags. Number 6 is Playmats. Now, I pretty much only have one main playmat. It's the one that I have on my table here for filming my videos. I really like it, and I can give you the exact name. It's the Jiggits. I think that's how you pronounce that. Jiggits Large Neoprene Gaming Mat. Here it is on Amazon. This is exactly where I got it. I have the 3 foot by 4 foot, which is pretty much the exact size of the table that I use for my filming. Depending on the lighting, it can go from sort of quite blue to like very, very dark blue, almost blackish. And it has a very faint pattern that, again, depending on the light, is sometimes more visible than other times. I've had this for almost 2 years, and it's held together very, very well. It does seem to highlight all these, any sort of lint, or especially that sort of cardboard fluff that comes off of board games. It just gets absolutely magnetized to the surface and shows up bright white. Every time right before filming, I take a lint brush to the entire surface, and that helps, but there's still lint all over the place. So if you're ever wondering what playmat I use, there it is, and that's my number 6. Number 5, I'm just calling little plastic boxes. These are all the various different types of plastic boxes that I use to store components, as well as hold components for when you're playing the game. And there's a ton of different types. I'm going to go over a few that I use, and let's just get started with the classic, the Plano box. Now, I believe these are originally designed for like tackle or hooks, or I don't know anything about fishing, but something related to fishing. But they usually work great at holding components, especially games that have a lot of different types of like resources or different tokens and things. These work fantastic. The tricky thing is you do need to try a little bit of trial and error to find the right box for, the right game. Oh man, when you find that perfect Plano, there's just no better feeling. All the bits just fit perfectly in it. The second little box that I use a lot of is what I refer to as the mini Planos. They're actually these really small and thin boxes that I get from Dollar Tree. It's called Dollar Tree around where I live. They seem like they would be too small to really be useful, but I can't tell you how many times I've found games, especially sort of chit-heavy games, where this worked great. And because it's so thin, you can easily fit it in almost any box. There's always usually room for it. But these are really good when there's just a few components, but there's a lot of different types, and you want to keep them organized. Also at Dollar Tree are these tiny little boxes. I think they're for like food containers or something. They would be about 10 cents a box, and they'd come in a package of 10 or 12. These are really nice, especially if you just want to like open up the lid and just put the box on the table right straight away and just draw right from it. That works really good. So I use these a lot as well. And lastly, there's sort of the fancy versions of these, which are the really useful boxes, or the generic form that I mostly use, super stackers. There was some massive sale on these. I mean, they were giving them away for dirt cheap, and I went around and literally emptied out, I think, 4 Office Depots near me. Hundreds of boxes. Because they're so great. They're perfect. Anyway, that's it. That's number 5. A bunch of different types of little plastic boxes. Number 4 are more plastic boxes, actually, but these are special. These are photo cases. Now, these have different names and different manufacturers depending on where you get them. I get almost all of mine at Michael's, which is like a craft store around where I live. Here it is, the Photo and Craft Keeper by Simply Tidy. But like I said, I've seen them with many different names. And what you get is this plastic case that holds 16 of these 4-inch by 6-inch photo cases. And I think they were designed to hold either photos or different like craft items, things like that. but it's fantastic for holding small box card games and board games. In fact, there's another geek list on Board Game Geek that lists about, I think, like over 450 different games that can fit in one of these photo cases. And I think I have about 150 games in like a stack of these off in the closet, taking up very little room. And these are great if you have, like, you're in an apartment, you don't have a lot of room. This is a great way of storing those smaller box games, which can be kind of hard to store and find good places for. I have each one labeled, so they're very easy to find, and any time that I'm going on vacation or I'm going to a game night, I'll either grab a few of these, to throw in a bag, or I'll just take a whole case of these. It's got a nice little handle, you just chuck it in your trunk of your car, and now you have 16 games to choose from. And you can just swap them in and out very easily depending on, the situation and who's going to be at the game night. And there are some fantastic games that will fit in this. You obviously can't put Gloomhaven or something, but there's a ton of great games that can go in these. Now, word of warning, I don't get these unless they are on sale, and they go onto deep discount often, at least at Michael's, they do. I would say I usually get these things for $10 to $15, and that's for the case and all of the 16 photo cases inside of the larger keeper. So definitely wait for it to go on sale. Don't pay this $40 or whatever. But yeah, I use these to store a ton of stuff, even outside of games. Really worth looking into. That's number 4. Number 3 are Silicone Bowls. I use these things in virtually every video. Pretty much anytime I'm playing a board game, one of these is probably on the table. These are great because they can lie flat, and then you just sort of button them up at the corners in order to make the bowl. So they're very handy for traveling or, taking them to game night. You can even just throw them in a gaming box. They're fantastic for that. I also like that they're just super soft, so you don't have to worry about scratching or damaging any components. Everything is very easy to take out of them. You can get them in a variety of different colors, so you can match them to the players based on the player colors, or you can just use them for different resources. Fantastic. Now, these things are all over the place. I got mine at the Board Game Geek store. They have them there in a wide variety of colors, and they also have small and large. I personally prefer the small size. It's usually enough to hold almost any kind of component that you would want, and it just takes up less room on the table. I do have a couple of large ones that I use if, the small one's too small, but honestly, I kind of wish I had more of these. I'll probably end up ordering a whole nother pack of them because they're just so useful. There you go, number 3, Silicone Bowls. Number 2 are plastic coin capsules. Capsules. I can't really say that word. I assume these things are designed for coin collectors to protect their valuable coins. I use them for round tokens, particularly tokens that you have to draw out of a bag. Drawing cardboard tokens out of a bag, shuffling them up, picking one out, that is a very unsatisfying tactile experience. It just doesn't feel good. You stick those tokens into these plastic capsules, and the experience is night and day. Suddenly, it feels so great to shuffle those things up in the bag and pick one out. It feels like you're getting a more random token. They don't feel all stuck together and like they're not really getting mixed up. And I know it sounds silly, it sounds like board game nonsense, but it is such a difference. Such a pleasurable experience to now draw these tokens from the bag. I refuse to draw tokens out of a bag without these capsules. And they work for a variety of games. And anytime I feature these on one of the videos, I get multiple comments asking me where I got them, what size did I use, and I'm always like, I'm not really sure, I don't really remember. Well, I did a little bit of research and I found a great geek list on Board Game Geek. I'm going to show it here and I'm going to have the link in the description below. Here is pages of games with the exact amount and size of the token that you need listed, and it's fantastic. This is a fantastic resource. Now, I don't do it for all of these games. I stick to games where I'm having to draw the tokens out of a bag. The ones that come to mind that are critical are Robinson Crusoe, Coffee Roaster, Arkham Horror the card game, Quacks of Quedlinburg if you're not using the fancy tokens, Bullet Heart. I'm sure there's more I'm missing. Oh, I do it for Nemesis. That's a good one. And I know there's more, but I'm forgetting. Yeah, but these things are fabulous. And really, I've just gotten mine. I've just bought mine in bulk from Amazon. I'm sure there's other ways and other places where you can get it. But yeah, if you just search that up on Amazon, it's pretty cheap and well worth it. So there you go. That's number 2, coin capsules. Capsules. And my number 1 board game accessory are iron clay poker chips from Roxley Games. This is number 1 by a mile. Anytime I have these in a video, I get request after request. What are those? They look so great. Where can I get them? I've been asked dozens of times about these, and I'm always happy to share exactly where to get them because I think they're fantastic. Now, to be clear, there's tons of poker chips out there. You can get some that are much cheaper than these, and you can also get some that are much more expensive than these. These are kind of right in the middle, certainly a premium item. I think for the weight and the feel and the look, they're well worth the price. And honestly, these iron clays have saved me money in the long run probably because once I got them, I stopped even caring about metal coins in games. I've never been tempted to upgrade or pay extra for metal coins because I'd rather just use these. Now, I also want to make it clear that I'm no poker chip aficionado or anything like that, and I absolutely have no sort of financial relationship with Roxley Games in any way. I just love these. I've used them since they first came out. I think the first set that I got was from Roxley's Brass reprints, where they made Brass Birmingham. And then they did another Kickstarter at some point where you could get just a nice big set of them. And I have that set as well, which I have out in sort of the main gaming area. And I just use these all the time because I love the way that they feel, the way that they look, the way that they handle. In my opinion, they're vastly superior to any other kind of money tokens or cards or certainly any sort of paper money. Even, like I said, metal coins. I just prefer these. I like that they stack so well. They're so visible, so easy to handle. I think these look so elegant. Regular poker chips can be a little garish maybe and kind of clash, but I find that when I put these in with almost any game, they just kind of feel like they fit in. So yeah, these get my highest recommendation. And in fact, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here, a little behind the scenes. If you ever want to know how I get those close-ups of all the cards that I film for my videos, well, this is how I do it. That's right, just a big old stack of iron clays. Well, now you know. That's my number 1 board game accessory, iron clay poker chips from Roxley Games. What are some board game accessories that you swear by that I didn't mention? Please include those in the comments. I want to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, check out all the other videos that I have on the channel, especially all the playthroughs so you can see these accessories in action. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.